Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Digipath Inc. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol DIGP and is an independent laboratory testing and media firm for the cannabis industry, setting the standard for testing all forms of cannabis-based products. So attendees, please submit your questions for Digipath through the webinar module right here. And let's welcome its founder, Todd Denkin. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you, Anna. Happy to be here. Happy to be anywhere, actually, these days, right?
Right. Okay, we look forward to your presentation. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Hi, everybody. Like Anna said, I am Todd Denkin, and I am the founder, president of Digipath. Before we get started, though, I got to do some legal stuff just to let you know these forward-looking statements are predictions, and this is what our hopes are for moving forward with Digipath Inc. So that's me. I am like I said, the founder, the president. I've been the CEO, COO, chairman of the board. I've been with Digipath since 2014. And I've been in the cannabis space since 2009. And all understand that I've been around the space for a very long time. And, it's a very fun, exciting, and certainly lucrative place to be. What we are is we're a publicly traded, independent analytical testing lab and data analytics company. And certainly we support the cannabis industry's best practices for reliable testing, data acquisition, and analysis. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. Like I mentioned, since 2014, we have tested over 70,000 samples from the hundreds of growers that are in the Nevada market. We use FDA compliant instrumentation. We have proprietary SOPs that are tried and true and proven, and our efficacy is based on good lab practices. And we're also ISO 17025 certified, and just actually had a renewal next month and passed with flying colors. It's all about safety and doing things right, and that's what we do here at Digipath Labs. Our flagship facility is in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we have generated large amounts of data. And we believe that this analytical data that we've been compiling over the years will soon, someday, in the very near future, be the key to really creating long-term cannabis medicine for those who need it. What we do, it's really simple. We test cannabis, we test hemp, and all kinds of products, and we help the customers who are our customers. We help them create a better product to make sure that they're safe, make sure that they're potent, and we make sure that the consumer is also receiving a safe product. And everyone knows that once it's tested and passes, that it's safe and it goes on the shelves. We also help maximize the client's products because we do a lot of research and development. We do formulation help with clients. And again, we help clients be better. I always like to say that we are the science partner to cultivations, to producers, to distributors, because we have gobs and gobs and millions of dollars worth of equipment, and we have the scientists. So let us do the science, you do what you do, and then we can partner together. We also, facilitate an industry-wide mandate to make sure that everybody knows that cannabis is being tested at the same thing, the way your food is tested and the way every other drug that you are taking is tested. Now, this is what we're doing. Like I said, we are in Las Vegas, Nevada right now. We've been there since 2014. We've been open since 2015. And, post-COVID, we've had really nice trajectory of sales. We are always looking for new opportunities in different states around the country because we do have a tried and true method to duplicate what it is we've done in Nevada, and we want to take that to other places. We're looking at specific states like California, Arizona, Oklahoma, and Florida to our next move. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the acquisition we're right in the middle of, where I am right now, actually, in Berkeley, California. Also, we are a chemo profile leader. And like I mentioned, we've been assembling this data over the last 6 years. And the chemo profile is the cannabinoid and the terpene profile combined. And again, this data will someday, be the key to really unlocking some serious medical solutions in the future. Now, we do have an expansion strategy, which is what we're here to talk about, obviously. Obviously, our flagship state lab in Las Vegas is doing very well these days. Let me knock on wood. We're always looking to expand. And then this summer, we got involved with a lab here in Berkeley, California, and took over control of Steep Hill Labs in Northern California. That's where I am right now, actually broadcasting from. We've become a leader in data. Like I mentioned, we are definitely winning in Nevada. And now we are a multi-state operator and looking to really increase revenues by going to different states around the country, because as legalization happens, there is definitely a need for testing. And we'll talk about that in just a minute as well. Now, our business model is nice and simple, right? We do consulting, we do formulations, we do R&D testing, and we do testing, right? COA testing, or compliance testing, as they call it, right? So it's really simple. It's, people need to have their products tested. So they have to have their R&D products tested, which means they test their products before they make other products. So if somebody makes an oil and they want to use that oil in some other product, like an edible or another, or anything else really, they have to get that tested so they know what kind of formulation to make. So we do all that kind of testing. And then in order for cannabis producers and cultivators to sell their products into a dispensary, they have to have a certificate of analysis, or a COA. So it's called COA testing or compliance testing, depending on what state you're in. And we do all of that too, because like I said, every cannabis product that is on a shelf has been run through a testing lab. In Nevada, there are 11 testing labs with about 150 possible customers. So it's a small and tough market to navigate. In California, it's completely different. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. So as you can see, our revenues are based on research development, testing, formulations, and it's all for CBD hemp and THC cannabis. So we do it all, and we test as much as we can all the time. Some really great key investment highlights of Digipath. Like I mentioned, I've been here for the last 6 years almost, and we have a very experienced team of scientists, of operations folks, and we've been at this a long time, and we've been through the ringers, so we know what goes wrong, we know what goes right. And Daddy always said, take something complex, make it simple, and then repeat until rich. So we're in the repeat until rich phase, where we're now moving into California and then other states as well. We've built a valuable database, like I mentioned before, that we believe will be valuable in the next several years, as more and more research and development is done on the cannabis plant. We are growing across the U.S., now becoming a multi-state operator here in California. And cannabis is growing across the country, literally and figuratively, actually. 6 states came on board this year. We expect another 5 states to come on board in 2022. And, federal legalization, I believe, is really just around the corner, and really based on politics, as sad as that is. But that's what I do believe. We've really established ourselves as a leader in the industry. We have a great track record. And like I said, we've been a stalwart in the Las Vegas market for a long time. And the good news is we have the ability to scale. We have the roots in place. We have a really strong foundation, and we have SOPs and methods that are second to none. And, like I said, we're ready to scale and looking to scale. So why did we pick Las Vegas? Well, they legalized back in 2014 with a medical program. And then in 2016, they went with a full recreational program. Keep in mind that 40 million people a year visit Las Vegas every single year. Only about 3 million people live there, but it's the 40 million people that show up to Las Vegas that really this recreational industry was built for. It is thriving and showing almost 12% growth month after month after month. This year we hit $1 billion in sales for the year, and last January, as you can see by the slide there, it's it was $83 million a month, and then they hit $1 billion just last month. So that's why we chose Nevada. It was a really great place to create a lab. They have very, very strict testing mandates, and they really set the standard for states around the country. In fact, California looked at Nevada's testing regulations and really formulated their regulations after the Nevada regs. So Nevada has really become the bellwether state for testing rules and regs around the country. Soon, they're all going to be the same, but currently they're different from state to state, as is the conundrum with cannabis. So we've talked about California. Like I said, we signed this LOI with Steep Hill in Berkeley, California, and we have taken over management of this lab. And why would we pick California? Easy question. It's because, back in 2018, cannabis sales were about 3.8 billion. Well, in 2025, it's predicted to be, $6.5 billion. 40 million people live in California, and it is a very, very cannabis-friendly state. The laws are friendly, people are friendly, and this is really what is known as the birthplace, right, of cannabis, even though we all know it came from China many thousands of years ago. The good news about California also is there's only 36 labs in California currently licensed. I think of those 35, 32 or 33 are actually operating, and there's over 5,000 licensees. So again, we compare that with Nevada, as I just mentioned, there's 11 labs, but there's only about 150 customers. Only 150 people well, it's actually 300, but most people have a medical and a recreational. So if you break it down, it's really only about 150 licenses, possible customers divvied up amongst 11 labs, right? So it's a bit different than the California market, where there's over 5,000 licensees and only 36 labs. What the DCC has said is that they need at least 100 labs throughout the state to handle the demand. And that's what gives a great opportunity to us. And that's why we're taking it. More good news is that the pricing of compliance testing is more expensive than it certainly is in Nevada. As you can see, the average price is about $650 a test for COA testing, literally almost double of what it cost in Nevada. Now, the batch sizes are much bigger, so it's easy to amortize the cost per pound. And it is much easier for the cultivator, the distributor, or the producer in order to get their tests that they need. So that's why we're taking advantage of California, because it is such a great market. Like I did mention, we did sign the LOI. We have been managing this place for the last several months, and looks like we're going to have a nice big grand opening in January of this year, or should I say a grand reopening, because we're currently open. But now that we made our announcement and we're starting to put everything in place, everything is going on track. And in fact, you can see pictures of that lab right there. And I was going to play a video, but rather than do that, I'm at the lab right now, so you can literally see it out there. So we're in a very large space. We can literally handle hundreds of tests per day. And we believe that this is going to be a big revenue generator for us here at Digipath, and of course, Steep Hill in Northern California. Again, this is a very exciting time for us because we just did this deal. I've been coming to Berkeley now for the last couple of months to work with the team up here. It's a very experienced team of scientists. We have a staff of chemists and microbiologists, and it really is going to be a good move for us to help our shareholders and our company increase revenue. Now, why would we do this? Well, like I mentioned earlier, we have the ability to scale. We've figured it all out. We've taken something complex, we've made it simple, and now we're going to repeat. And we're going to take this model right? And really move it across the country is the plan. We've identified some acquisitions that would, immediately make us an MSO, which is a multi-state operator. And that's what our intentions are. That's what our plan is. And that's what we're about to go execute. And of course, here we are in Berkeley with our first acquisition. And again, we're going to take our gold standard of testing into this market. I believe it needs it, and I believe it needs it all over the country. And again, California is just the first place. We talked about revenue a second ago, and I wanted to show you this slide real quick because it really shows you how the money is made in the California market, of course. And it's all about testing, right? Every time you run a test, you ring the cash register. That's how it works. So whether it's an R&D test for as little as $75 or as little as $50, depending on what we're testing, whether it's an a la carte deal or whether it's multiple tests, there's lots of R&D testing because, as I mentioned, everything has to be tested before it's made into something else, and then it has to be tested again to make sure that what you made is accurate, right? So there is lots and lots of testing going on. Plus, lots of folks want to see if there's pesticides coming through, if there's heavy metals in their vape pens, and all of these things, again, generate revenue. And then there's compliance testing, which is the certificate of analysis that they get in order to sell their product into the marketplace. And the average price here is about $650 we found, and some folks are paying as high as $800 for a compliance test based on your area, based on your volume, based on several other different things. We look to disrupt this marketplace and really, take charge and really bring, like I said, our business model to the area. Good customer service, great turnaround time, and of course, great pricing. Now, we're also looking at other states. As I mentioned before, Arizona is very attractive to us. One, because it's our neighbor to the left, and being in our neighbor to the right, makes it easy for travel for sure. But, this is just since the beginning of the year. Arizona is really hitting its stride, and it's only the beginning. It's predicted that by 2024, they'll be generating about $700 million a year in cannabis sales. And, there's only 3 million people that live there, 3 or 4 million people live there. So it is a big market. They only have 2 fully certified labs in Arizona, so they're in desperate need of full compliance testing, and that's why they are very high up on our radar. We're also looking at Oklahoma. Oklahoma recently became legal for medical marijuana, and they have literally thousands of licensees, because these licensees, those are the ones that are our customers, not the folks that buy the cannabis products, but it's the folks that make the cannabis products that are our customers, because everything they make has to be tested. So there's 7,500 growers that are licensed in Oklahoma, 1,300 producers. Those are the guys that make the edibles and the oils and all of that stuff. Right. So it is a brand new big market that we're very interested in. And when that state goes recreational, which it is on the ballot to do that, then it'll be a gargantuan business because it touches so many other states as well. Florida, my home state, that is another place that we are looking at. Florida, again, has 21 million people in their population, and they have over 560,000 registered patients. That's right, 500,000 registered patients, more than any other state in the union. And there are about 300 medical cultivations around the state of Florida. Now, the good news about that is there's only 7 labs. So they need more labs. Every place needs more labs. And, this is another growth area for us, is into Florida, because I believe Florida is going to rival California once they pass their recreational laws. Again, that is on the books for 2022 as well. But just like Nevada did, they started off medical, got all the kinks out, and then launched the recreational program. We have very experienced people on our team. Our board of directors are a bunch of old guys who have been around for a long time. Bruce Rabin, Stone Douglas, Dennis Hartman. I've known these guys for a long time, and they all have deep resumes and been in businesses for a very, very long time, and have been on the finance side, have been on Wall Street, have been in banking, have run businesses, and they're very bright group of guys that I count on. Our science leads in our Nevada lab, Sherry DeFries and Griselda Heather, they run our analytical department and also our microbiology department. Operations and sales have been with me. Operations guy Tony has been with us for the last 4 years. Shelby's been with us since the very beginning, and she handles all of our sales in the Nevada market and is looking to help us here in the Berkeley area as well. Revenue-wise, well, it looks pretty good. If we close on this Berkeley deal, which it looks like we will do that over the next couple of weeks, then it's off to the races and increase in revenue all over the place. Obviously, these projections are based on, getting labs in other places. But as you can see, testing and more testing creates lots and lots of revenue in whatever state that we happen to be in. So what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for, about $5 million. And why do we need that? Well, to do everything that I just talked to you about. We're closing on Steep Hill sometime, like I said, hopefully before Christmas, maybe after Christmas, but you know how lawyers are. So everything always takes time. And we should definitely start seeing some revenue first quarter next year. We have a very aggressive marketing plan in place, and we will hit the ground running, I promise you. We need additional capital to expand in other states. And we're looking to purchase, 2 or 3 over the next year and a half, again, to increase shareholder value, to increase revenue, and to make us, the standard go-to of, cannabis testing, not only in Nevada and California, but all over the country. Because eventually, right, somebody is going to step up and be the Quest, if you will, or the LabCorp of the cannabis space, right? And why shouldn't that be us, right? So it's a good place to be. As everyone knows, the cannabis industry is exploding. It is the #1 job hiring industry in the country right now. More and more states are going legal, and everything has to be tested before it goes on the shelf. Let me say that again. Every product must be tested before it goes on the shelf, whether it's a flower, whether it's an edible, whether it's an oil, whether it's an extract, whether it is any of the hundreds and hundreds of different variations of cannabis products that are out there in the world. They all have to be tested before somebody can buy them. So it's a good place to be in the testing space. We're happy to be here. So I'm happy to take any questions that may have come in. And I just want to thank everybody for sticking around and listening.
Great job, Todd. Okay, we do have some questions. Let's start off.
Great.
Al Patella asks, what is the outlook for cannabis testing nationwide?
Well, every state has adopted some sort of cannabis testing rules, right? So that means that, like I just mentioned, everything has to be tested before it's set out. What we're on board for and what we push for is standardization. So it's all the same everywhere. Just like, if you buy a bottle of Tylenol in New York, it's been tested with the same tests as the one that you buy in China, right? It's literally the same bottle. So we have to try to create that standardization for cannabis testing, because that's what's important. But the outlook is everything will have to be tested. My belief is that when it goes legal federally, then the feds will get involved, and that's when standardization will happen, and every state will have to follow the rules. The great thing about federal legalization from a lab testing space is that now we can do cross-state commerce, right? Because right now I can only test in California in the California lab, and I can only test in Nevada in the Nevada lab. But when we can cross state lines and do interstate commerce, that's when it's going to be a big win for the testing space.
Great. Gary Zwetchkenbaum of Plumtree Consulting has two questions for you. One,
Okay.
Why is Digipath moving to this new acquisition strategy? And two, what makes Digipath different or a leader in the testing space?
Great. Good question. Thanks, Gary. So why are we moving into this? Because it's the only way to move, right? We're in a market in Las Vegas where we're maximizing our profit margins, right? And now it's time to take what we've done and duplicate it in other markets. We have 6 years under our belt. We're not a startup, right? We've gotten through the startup hump. And now it's time to duplicate in other states because, number one, it's needed everywhere. The experience in testing labs, is hard to find, especially in brand new cannabis states. And, the timing is right. Over the last couple of years, the timing hasn't been right because, this green rush has been happening and everybody thinks their company is worth $100 million, right? And then, it's not that way anymore, right? People have settled into a real industry. Even though we're still in our infancy, there is some maturity from the people doing the business. And now is the best timing, certainly in the cannabis industry, to expand. And as far as what makes us different, it's easy. Customer service, accuracy, and we care, right? Like I mentioned earlier, we want to be your partner in the cannabis space. We want to be your science partner, your go-to. So you use us so we can help you reach your goals, right? I'm really all about customer service. This is a relationship business. And, we offer such incredible customer service. I always say that the answer is always yes. We'll just work out the details.
We have a few questions from Chris English. One, do you currently have any toxic debt on the books?
Toxic debt? No, but we definitely have some debt on the books. COVID was a little bit of a rough year. And, sometimes you take money when you can get it, but none of it's toxic. We have investors that have been with us for a long time and believe in us and, that we go to every now and again when we need to raise more money for sure.
And what are your current margins?
We're right now at dangling right at the 40 to 45% margins in our Las Vegas lab. The great thing is that, other locations like Berkeley, the margins will be much higher. Same thing with other, not so sophisticated, when I say sophisticated states, I mean, so mature states, right? So margins will be much better. And also we'll be able to amortize the cost of being public because as you guys all know, it's very expensive to be a publicly traded company. And with multiple labs and multiple locations, we can amortize that cost and drive our margins up in the individual locations.
What is your growth potential?
I think our growth potential is really unlimited. As we attack different states, it's all about being able to, process samples. I just showed you the lab over here and, we can do up to 200 a day and, we have triple redundancy, so we can even do more. I don't want to make any promises, but we can probably do more with more staff and more shifts. It's all about bringing the samples in, establishing those relationships, not only here in California, but literally across the country.
And have you seen client demand increase?
I have seen client demand increase. Everyone looks for somebody they can trust, somebody they want to do business with, right? People want to do business with someone that they like, someone that they can count on. And, the cannabis business, strangely enough, has some shady people in it, right? And, because we're a publicly traded company, we're completely transparent. You can come to Las Vegas, you can give us a call and come take a tour of our lab. We like to show off what we do because we think it's important. So come take a look, anytime, anywhere.
Great. Well, Todd, we are out of time, but we have a lot more questions for you. So we will send them to you so you can answer them directly on your own time. But thank you so much for this great presentation. And please join us again with some updates. I will do it. Thank you, Anna. Appreciate you. All right, everyone, stay with us as we transition to the next presenter. We're coming right back.